Well, Alex de Minaur, thank you for joining us today on The Sit Down. Where in the world do we find you?
I am currently in Monaco. Starting today was day 4 of preseason, and yeah, just getting back into the gist of things, and yeah, a couple tough days of preseason, making sure I'm ready to go come the new year.
Well, I was actually going to ask you how the off season is going, but it sounds like it's already gone. But did you have a chance to enjoy a bit of a break?
Yeah, there's not too much off season going on nowadays. I was able to have about a week and a half of spending time with family and friends, which was nice to sort of relax and take a moment to, yeah, just take a breath. But now we're back into the gist of things, back into training, back into working on the areas that I want to improve on, so I can bring out the best version of myself come 2026.
We'd love to say to you, congratulations on another Newcombe Medal nomination, which is an award you've won several times. Tell us about how special that achievement is for you.
Yeah, it's an amazing achievement. I mean, it is a very prestigious award, and it is just an amazing thing to be a part of, right? To celebrate Australian tennis, and especially the last 5 to 10 years, how much we have been growing in the right direction, right? We are showing strength in numbers. We've had some amazing results by our fellow players, and it's just a great thing to be a part of.
And you're nominated for obviously, yeah, for the Newcombe Medal, which is the most outstanding player and ambassador in Australian tennis, which means that you must have had a great 2025 to get nominated. So, how do you sum up your season that's just been?
Yeah, it's an incredible honor, of course, and the way I would sum up my season, it's been, a lot of highs, a couple lows, but I'm overall very happy with the season itself. I've been able to overcome some difficult moments, learn a lot about myself, and along the process, feel like I've become a better version of myself. I've improved in certain areas. I've managed situations a lot better, and I think I'm definitely better for it. So this year has taught me a lot, and I do feel like I now know what's what the next steps are, what's missing, what I need to kind of improve on to take that big next step. So it is exciting. So going into a new season, trying to tweak a couple things, work on a couple things with the team, and we'll see how it goes next year.
Alex, we saw all your usual qualities throughout that season. We saw your speed, your tenacity. But one of the things I guess that really stood out was the resilience. You bounced back from an early loss at Roland Garros quite quickly, and the same at the ATP finals when you beat Fritz to reach the semi-finals. How valuable was it to see how quickly things can change?
Yeah, look, it's I feel like it's been one of the attributes that I've had within me for a while. It's always not about getting knocked down. It's how quickly you get back up, and you keep fighting, right? And really, for me, it's just about learning how to deal with those moments, right? In the middle of the year, I definitely felt a little bit burnt out, and that early exit at Roland Garros really took a toll on me, right? To the point where I needed to take some action and be strong with myself about what my priorities are and what I need to do to get the most out of myself. And at that moment in time, I needed to have a little shift of mindset and shift of priorities, right? And I decided to take a little bit of time off, focus on the bigger tournaments, and ultimately believe in myself and back myself that if I'm physically healthy, mentally healthy, and full of energy, that I am good enough to have the results that I want, right? And just the biggest matches of the year is where I need to tweak a couple things and try to not put as much pressure on the result, right? And focus more on the way I want to play those types of matches.
It's interesting hearing you talking about the burnout thing because we remember those comments after Roland Garros, and it seems that whatever you did, that mindset shift worked because at Wimbledon you made the second week and pushed Novak, and then you made the US Open quarters. You also won Washington in there. Some players, when they talk about burnout, can struggle for months or might have to take an extended break. So, what was it that helped you, I guess, bounce back from the burnout and get back on track relatively quickly after Roland Garros?
Yeah, I think it was.
What was the specific the mindset that you
Yeah,
shifted?
I mean, I felt like for the better part of my career, I was very much focused on my goals, and my goals were very much ranking driven, right? So, what happens with that ultimately is you start obsessing about results. And it doesn't just happen to the point that you're obsessing about your own results. You get to the point that you start looking everywhere around you and what the results of your opponents are to kind of calculate
Mm.
points, live rankings, where I need to get to defending points. It just became a little bit of a whirlwind, right? And it was definitely not healthy and not the best way for me to use up my mental energy. And I was able to talk to some people and get some help and really start focusing on the right things. And that was definitely a big step forward. I'm not saying that I have completely forgotten about it, right? Because ultimately I have goals, and in the world we live in, a lot of it is ranking based, but I'm being a little bit nicer to myself and I'm focusing a little bit more on the process.
It's hard because people like us keep asking you about rankings, so apologies. We'll do better.
It's part of it.
Yeah, but how do you sort of ensure physical and mental longevity in a sport that's so grueling? Like, what's the secret?
Well, look, just being a little bit smarter, managing schedule. This year, for example, I did not play one 250 in the whole year, right? Which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So it is managing that, managing weeks, uh, also just mentally how you play certain tournaments. Do not add more pressure than you need to, and ultimately, yeah, just go back to the things that you love and that make you love this sport and made you fall in love with this sport. And I've been trying and I've been getting a lot better at this. And obviously, when you are having fun, when you're switching off in the middle of tournaments and going out to have nice dinners with friends, going out for a coffee, exploring the cities, all this adds up and helps you stay as fresh as you can for longer. So those are the couple of things I've been doing this year.
And what would you say is the one thing that keeps you turning up on tour?
My drive, my hunger. I I feel like I've got more to give, right? And that's a double-edged sword many times because no one's going to be more critical of myself than myself. But at the same time, it keeps pushing me. It keeps driving me for bigger and better things, right? I've had my best year on tour, finished 7 in the world, but I do feel like I've got more to give, and I don't think I've hit my ceiling just yet. So that is what continues to drive me to keep getting better and hopefully improving and making sure I get to a point whenever I finish my career that I can sit on a couch and be very comfortable and happy with my career and have no regrets.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be very well deserved when the time comes. Um, is there anything that you've learned from Katie or your Aussie mates on tour about navigating life as a pro player?
Yeah, plenty. I do like to talk to a lot of different players, and from Katie to Aussie players, and learning learning how they deal with certain situations, right? And a lot of it at the end of the day comes down to perspective. And we live in a sport that we are always striving for the next best thing, right? And we very easily forget once we've accomplished a goal. And many times we don't give ourselves enough credit for achieving that goal. And that moment kind of just passes away quickly, and you're not able to really cherish that. So, one of the things I've done a lot more recently is, in fact, cherish those moments. Take a step back from a very fast paced life and enjoy those moments. It doesn't need to be go out and party every time you have a good win, but find whatever it is for you, something little that it's your way of giving yourself a little pat on the back.
I love that.
Yeah, so do I. Speaking of moments to cherish, switching gears slightly, what has been your favorite or least favorite aspect of wedding planning so far?
My least favorite aspect is the stress of it all. It is too many decisions to make. I Yeah, I didn't think there was that much going on into planning a wedding. I'll tell you that. So yeah, it's been a lot, and we are navigating through it. It's not that easy when we're both tennis players, and we seem to be busy very often, right? So that's one thing that I haven't enjoyed. What I have enjoyed is picturing that moment, spending it with family and friends, and celebrating what would be, a very cool moment. And as I said, not often in a fast paced life do you get the chance to take a couple steps back and enjoy a moment. But this will very much be one of those moments that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
When we prepare for interviews like this and when we're doing reading and stuff, there's always a fact that stands out about the person we're about to chat to. And it turns out it's not always true, though, when we put it to the interviewer. And so we've
Okay.
read one fact that stood out about you is that you collect vintage cars. Is that true?
That is very much
Okay.
correct
So,
and
so
true.
how did that start and how many do you have?
I've loved cars from a very, very young age, to the point I didn't miss a Top Gear
Oh,
interview back in the
Oh,
day, right? And so I've loved cars as a whole my whole life. And then as I got, a little bit older, I started to really cherish vintage cars, right? How special they truly are. So basically, the first car I bought was a 1974 Mini, right? A basically a Mr. Bean mini, right? And it's one of those things that I redid from the ground up. Loved every second of it, and it is just special, right? Because you don't see them on the road too often, and I love the uncertainty of, is it going to start? Are you going to be stranded in the middle of the road? You just don't know what's going to happen, right? So every moment that you're driving some of these vintage cars, you just cherish, right? So it is my way of disconnecting. And I love that mini so much that I ended up getting a second one, a blue one, right? Which is from 1992 with a little bit more horsepower. And it's just a little bit of an addiction, I must say. And it is a world that I love. And I am, in a way, happy that I'm so busy and traveling so often, because if not, I feel like that would be trouble. I don't know if I would have enough room in my garage to keep them all in.
It's brilliant though too to have like an outlet that's not related to tennis. I think that's healthy. A lot of players talk about that disconnection, as you said, or that outlet. If we were to flip it around and you were preparing for this interview to interview Alex de Minaur, what would you ask? Because something that players often talk about is that they do. I was listening to an interview with Andy Murray just the other day, and so many interviews often ask the same thing. That can get a bit tedious. So, what would you want to know about Alex de Minaur, or what's a part of your story that you don't get asked enough about, or that we don't know?
Ooh, I think, yeah, I've always liked interviews that go a little bit more in depth into someone's like personality and hobbies and interests, right? That's something that's always fun to talk about,
Well, that's
because
good.
yeah, often if you reach if you hit that right question and you get someone talking about something they truly love, then they can give you so much, and they can go into detail. Same way I could go into detail about cars for a very long time. So I do very much enjoy talking about that. If I was to ask something else, I would say, what are your goals when you finish your career? And it is often a question that you ask me right now, I'm probably not going to answer it, because I don't want to put a number or say, I guess, those very deep feelings. But that would be a great question if I would be able to answer it.
That's the thing where hopefully
I would love to know myself as well, right?
We've filed that for
yes,
future
exactly.
reference.
There is a goals question in there somewhere towards the end.
Yeah.
But one thing we actually rarely chat with you about, or we don't know much about you in Australia, is you're a fluent Spanish speaker. But obviously, every time you're in Australia, you're doing all your interviews in English. How often are you using Spanish compared to English?
Well, half my team is, three quarters of my team is Spanish, right? So I'm using it almost every day.
Okay.
With my family, we speak in English in the household, so that's something a little bit rare, considering that they live in Alicante at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Spanish, I have to use it almost every day of my life. So over the years, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it. But it is true that if I spend too much time with Spanish speaking people, I often forget a couple words in English that I have in Spanish, and then vice versa.
Okay. It's interesting. What language do you dream in?
English. So I would classify still English my first language. Many times I can't quite get the exact word in Spanish when I'm trying to describe something, but in English, I normally do have most of the answers.
You spoke earlier about strength in numbers in Australian tennis, and it has been a pretty incredible period at various times. We've had 10 Australian men in the world's top 100. How much does that spur you along, and what's it like to be the leader of that group, I guess?
Oh, it's great to be a part of it. I feel like this is where our nation deserves to be. We've got such rich history and culture when it comes to tennis, and it's great to be able to show it. And we are a very strong Grand Slam nation, and we are indeed just showing it with strength in numbers. And whether it's myself, whether it's any other Aussie, just to have good results out there, it means the world.
How do you perceive yourself compared to some of the past greats of Australian tennis?
Well, the way I see it is I've got a long way to go. I I need to get my hands on a slam to be in, or to be even close to being in the same conversation and as some of the Aussie greats before me. So yeah, got plenty of work to do. Hopefully one day.
At the same time, you are also taking, a really big interest in the next generation of Australian tennis through the Alex de Minaur Junior Tour, for example, which includes scholarships and a chance to spend some time training with you. Well, what's that been like?
Oh, this is really fulfilling. Being able to start the Alex de Minaur Foundation, be able to bring kids over to Europe, not only to have that opportunity to play against kids outside of Australia, but in Europe, and learn through those battles on the clay, but to also have one-on-one time with a pro, with myself. I take a lot of pride in that. I had a lot of help when I was younger, and I know how important it is to give back to the next generation. So for me, it is a big priority. I've got a very, very busy schedule, but as I said, I make this a priority because I know how influential and important it can be to someone's career, and hopefully I can help them out, whether it's 1%, then I'll be happy.
What's coming up for the Alex de Minaur Foundation? I understand there's going to be a big event here in Melbourne over the summer.
Yes, we've got an amazing night with myself. I don't know if too many people want to hear me speak for a whole night, so I'm sorry about that. We'll make sure we have other guests, which are very, very interesting. But it's going to be a great night to kind of celebrate a year of the foundation, a year of being able to help these kids fulfill their dreams, and ultimately leveling up, right? Our goal is to help more kids and to send more kids overseas and have more interactions with myself. So there's a lot going on in the pipeline, and I'm very excited to be able to help as many kids as I can. So we're going to do our very best to keep on improving the foundation and how many kids we can help. And yeah, it's going to be exciting. So if for whoever is there, I promise you, I won't be talking all night. We'll get interesting people on the panel, and I'm sure it's going to be a great night.
Alex, you've been so generous with your time. Thank you so much. Just before we let you go, we wanted to know what you're most looking forward to for the Aussie Summer, which is coming up, knowing that you're starting it at the United Cup for Australia with my joint.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be sharing the court with my joint. I've had a bit to do with her this year, and being able to watch her unbelievable rise up the rankings. It is nothing short from incredible what she's been able to accomplish, and I've got a lot of admiration and respect for her. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to start the year at Sydney, at my hometown, with Maya and representing the green and gold. So I'm very excited for that. And hopefully that's going to be the perfect lead up for the Australian Open, where I would love nothing more than to have a deep run there and keep building upon what I've been doing the last couple of years, and hopefully, be a threat to those, be a threat for the title. That would be very, very nice.